after the chaos of stage 7 with that sprint finale and much of a rest day really on the transition of 201 kilometres to Oliva. This run today to Xorret de Catí was going to be entirely different. Well, if riders had managed to put some power back into the legs with an easy day previously, then this was where they would spend those watts. It was bound to draw a big breakaway. In fact, on the many times that we've visited the Catí, it has been a break that's made it. The likes of Remco Evenepoel would be out there to try and stop that happening. Jeffrey Soup still carrying the glory of a stage win the day previously. And you can see Lenny Martinez as well, just on his shoulder. Would he still be in red at the end of the day? That was a big question. We left Dénia, and as you can see, many climbs along the way, including a pesky peak at the very last, with gradients of over 22%. That was going to hurt. A downhill sprint run to the finish, and surely a breakaway. Everyone thought it was almost nailed on, including Thomas de Gendt, who was part of the first incarnation of it. It swelled, including 3 of his teammates, into a much bigger fighting force. They duly took the peaks and troughs along the way, building up mountains points, but it was a stage win they were after. Well, with a chase invoked by Jumbo-Visma, they wanted to keep the hurt on Remco Evenepoel and give Sepp Kuss a chance of going into the race lead if Lenny Martinez of Groupama France-Séjour couldn't keep up. Well, the breakaway graded itself down with Damiano Caruso of Bahrain victorious, Andy Cron of Lotto Destiny, Lazcano and Rui Costa, a high-quality quartet up the road. Would they be caught? That was the big question. Well, many other riders who had been in a 32-rider breakaway were caught along the way, but as we headed to our final peak, we started to look back at Jumbo-Visma and started to think as well that it may be the main GC players that would indeed dispute the finale. Well, 3 kilometres from the top, just about everyone was caught, and Attila Valter was putting on a real pace. Vingegaard was also there with Primož Roglic at hand. Sepp Kuss thought about rolling the dice first out front as some big names started to struggle, including Lenny Martinez, who would end the day over a minute down. Brave you had to be, and Sepp Kuss is full of that, and indeed belief as well, after winning of course into Havalambre on stage 6. Away he went. The temptation of course for Remco Evenepoel to charge into the gap. Evenepoel himself was really coping with the inclines and the percentages extraordinarily well out front, something that could not be said about Lenny Martinez, who saw his lead in the red jersey dropping. Sepp Kuss was in control of that jersey, but would he take the stage win? I don't think that was the battle plan. It really did thin down. 3 from Jumbo-Visma, including Kuss, of course Roglic and Vingegaard, but also 3 from UAE Team Emirates with Ayuso in the white jersey, João Almeida, who'd had a crash on the day, and also Marc Soler. High-paced run into town. Remco Evenepoel led them in, but towards the end, final sweeping curves, it was Primož Roglic who came up onto his shoulder, shot by and denying Juan Ayuso as well, whose mother's birthday it was. He was hoping to celebrate that with a victory. Roglic taking it ahead of Evenepoel. Little 2-second gap behind Ayuso to those who were also involved, including Enric Mas. Sepp Kuss punching the air, knowing that he had taken the lead of the race, and we waited to see what the margin would be. Back to Lenny Martinez. He led the race by 8 seconds at the beginning of the day. Finished it, unfortunately for him, a minute and 8 down. So a certain purity about the fact that he's still very much in contention, but is 1 minute down overall. Roglic taking the stage, Sepp Kuss taking the lead of the race. Lenny Martinez with a consolation of a young rider's jersey. He leads that competition ahead of Remco Evenepoel, who looked a bit fed up. Well, his standards are extremely high, and of course he has a time trial in which to strut his stuff into Valladolid after the rest day. In the meantime, heading towards that rest day, still one stage to come. Primož Roglic has got that coveted stage win. Evenepoel second on the same time, ahead of Ayuso, Mas, Vingegaard, Almeida. Sepp Kuss into red, finishing 7th, 2 seconds in arrears. and Lenny Martinez leading the young riders classification. But it's Sepp Kuss who is now resplendent as our glorious leader as we head to Carrasqueta. Stage 9 awaits, and Kuss leading this race by 43 seconds ahead of Marc Soler, with Martinez at a minute margin but leading that young riders classification. Well, polls went well today, as did Mikkel Landa, who rounds out the top 5. And so to stage 9. Cartagena is where we are starting, Carrasqueta our destination. A nasty Category 1 climb after only 60 kilometres of racing, and then rolling terrain before an uphill finish at the very last. It will be tough. It was designed to be so. It's what the Vuelta is all about.